Hi, my name's Phil Calvert, and I'm really excited that you've joined me here today for our very special webinar where we look at the top 10 marketing and lead generation tactics for financial advisors in 2021. I don't want to waste any of your time, so I'm going to get straight in with it today, and let's get started. So for those that have not met me before and I've not met you before, I'm the guy behind Life Talk, the Life Talk group for financial advisors that's on Facebook. There's one on LinkedIn as well. And we've got a special marketing group on another platform as well. So I really want to welcome you today. It's very much appreciated. I don't want to waste your time, so let's get properly stuck in. Okay. Very quickly, a little bit about me so that you know who's talking today. I've been in financial services, working with financial advisors and other regulated industries for over 40 years. I spent the first 20 years of my career working with big providers such as Zurich Life. I was predominantly on the road. I was a broker rep, or back in the day, I was called an inspector, later a broker consultant, and then I headed up the national accounts team a little bit later on. In that time, and I've counted them up as well because I've kept all my diaries and I've kept every single business card from those days, I had over 13,000 face-to-face meetings with financial advisors around the UK. I was eventually made redundant, and for the last 22 years, I've been an independent sales and marketing consultant and speaker, working with financial advisors, the pharmaceutical industry, automotive, and a few others as well. I reckon I've spoken around the world to over 35,000 financial advisors at conferences and events. This year I've been to one event in London where I spoke to about 1,000 financial advisors, and the rest of the year it's all been done online, how things change. I created the world's first online networking platform for financial services back in 2004. I've written a few books as well. I used to be a rock concert photographer until I got a proper job, something I absolutely loved. I didn't go to university, didn't go to college, just did my A-levels. But most evenings I was up at the Hammersmith Odeon, or the Rainbow Theatre in London, or the Empire Pool, Wembley, as some of you may remember. And I used to love photographing all the rock bands. And my claim to fame is, once upon a time, I was the world's best gin and tonic maker. A family friend of mine taught me how to make the perfect gin and tonic, and his name was John Tanqueray. Yep, as in Tanqueray Gordon's. And he taught me the way to make a gin and tonic, the way to the secret family Tanqueray recipe. I actually entered a competition just to see how good I would be, into the World Cocktail Making Championships years and years ago now. All the top cocktail bar men and women from around the world descended on a hotel in London. I entered the gin and tonic category and I won. So I would imagine for the rest of this webinar, you'd probably like me to talk about how to make the perfect gin and tonic, but we'll do that another day. Okay. So I got started in financial services, meeting financial advisors back in 1978. And late last year, I published this book, which in many ways was a trip down memory lane for me, because this book looks at the marketing tactics used by, the best of the best. And by best, I mean any financial advisor that's using a marketing approach that's actually bringing in the leads they really want. Anyone can shovel leads into their business, but getting the leads that you actually want, those real quality ones, that's really important. There aren't many financial advisors that want leads shoveled into their business. There are ways to do that, but what the financial advisors that I've met tell me over the years is actually they only want a few, not many, each month. 2 or 3, maybe 5 or 6. If you're involved in protection of mortgages, maybe you want a few more than that, but most don't want huge quantities of leads. They want high quality leads. And so what this book does is look at the tactics that actually work. Now, times change, things move on, and the way we attract our leads actually changes as well. And it's been really interesting to see the effect of COVID-19 and how it's changed many financial advisors' approach to marketing and lead generation. So it's worth actually having a look and see, just go back in time a bit before we look at what's going to happen moving forward. Back in 1978, when I started meeting financial advisors for the first time, these were the sort of things that I saw financial advisors doing. Lots of networking, lots and lots of seminars, good old-fashioned paper newsletters, telephone sales, The mail, just good old letters. The fax machine was fantastic. Leaflet drops. A lot of financial advisors used to have their own golf days, tennis days, general hospitality for their clients, just as a way of saying thank you to clients, but that inevitably led to more referrals. Local sponsorships, sponsoring the local football club, that sort of thing. One or two had their own merch as well, pens and mugs, simple things like that. Article writing for local magazines and newspapers was a big deal as well. Good old-fashioned classified advertising. Yes, referrals were there, but nothing like as effective as they've been in more recent times. And introductions with local relationships with accountants, solicitors, and lots of estate agents as well. So that was what we were doing in 1978. And it's worth comparing that with what we've been doing today. Now, when you look at that list there, what you tend to see is that the vast majority, well, almost all of those things listed there were proactive. Referrals tend to be reactive unless you've got a proactive referral strategy. Look at it today. Look what the financial advisors of today tend to be doing most to attract business. Referrals, introductions, web listings, their websites, social media, and LinkedIn. That, you would really, arguably those are all reactive activities. So back in the day, it was very, very proactive. These days, it's pretty reactive, to be quite honest. But when you look at what the top financial advisors are doing today, and by top financial advisors, I mean advisors who are using lead generation tactics that actually work, add these on, and you tend to find that they are actually using proactive activities as well. LinkedIn, for most financial advisors today, for example, is a reactive activity, but the financial advisors who have a LinkedIn strategy are using it in a very proactive way. So my message here is we really ought to be thinking about more proactive marketing. It's not surprising that we're quite reactive. We live in a digital world. We've got social media. We can blast content out there, sit back and wait for something to happen. And that's really reactive. That's not proactive at all. So I'm going to build on that as we go today. So as I mentioned, marketing is constantly changing. There's always some new shiny object, and we tend to get excited by new shiny objects in the hope that they will do us. And there's nothing wrong with using a shiny object as part of your marketing, as long as you have a marketing plan. It's really important. So again, a bit more history. Let's bring it a bit more up to date. 98, 2010, this is where digital really started to get going. We were kind of intrigued by it. We were learning how to use it. We were using social networking platforms, not social media platforms. So, the first B2B, B2C social networking platform was a site called eCademy.com. Some of you might remember that. And that was around before LinkedIn. LinkedIn appeared in 2003, and that was a social networking platform. It still is a social networking platform, but too many of us look at it as just another social media platform. And there is a difference between social networking and social media, and we'll explore that as we move forward. We saw digital as a very exciting new opportunity. And to be quite honest, anybody could attract business on digital platforms. During that time, it was essentially free marketing. It was a really good return on your investment for doing not much at all. 2010 to 2017, I would describe as the golden era. Super easy to get followers, super easy to get engagement with your content that you posted. Everybody would see your content. It was free business. Everybody was on there. Well, I say everybody was on there. In terms of financial advisors, most of the early adopters were really getting stuck in, and it was pretty well free business, to be quite honest. And if you were half consistent in your use of social media, you were regarded as an influencer and you would get business. It was the time-wasting era. You could just go on a Facebook, you could post content, you would get business. But the really interesting thing is, the vast majority of financial advisors weren't on Facebook, and certainly in those early days, because they were really nervous, concerned about compliance, concerned about tripping over some dreadful tripwire that would set off a compliance bomb right under their feet. But the early adopters who got onto Facebook early, the early adopters who got onto Twitter early, they were able to pick up business. Things have changed. If we get into this year, 2020, for a whole variety of reasons, it's getting very messy. everyone's on social media now. The noise levels are ridiculous. It's actually quite difficult to get attention unless you have a very niche and focused market. The audience on social media now is much, much better at filtering out what they don't want to see. The platforms, and by platforms, I mean Facebook, Instagram, are now monetizing. In other words, you can be on there, you can post all the content you like, but ideally they want you to pay. I haven't got a problem with paying for Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising. If you can find someone who's really good at that for you, the returns can be absolutely superb. But I know there are a lot of financial advisors who, they'd rather not pay for advertising that they don't know whether or not it's going to work or not. So today it is a very poor return on wasting time, whereas before that you could waste a lot of time and you get a good return on your time. Today we need much more discipline, we need much more strategy, we need a lot more focus. So looking forwards, what are we going to start thinking about before I get into individual tactics that will work for you? It's so important to start getting this strategy nailed down. For the financial advisors I deal with, I speak to about a dozen financial advisors every single week, and I'm lucky if 1 out of 12 has got even half a formalized marketing strategy. Marketing and lead generation for financial advisors gets so much easier when you actually got something written down, a plan, and your plan doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be a 10-page document. It can be 1 page. Who am I trying to attract? How am I going to measure results? Where do these people hang out online? What are the different approaches that I could use to reach them? Simple stuff like that. We need to focus much, much more on converting the right type of clients. And by that, I mean your website. Financial advisors are getting visits to their websites, but they are not converting those for the most part into quality inquiries. We need to also start thinking about personalized marketing. All the really big boys in marketing across any industry are talking about personalization. That is so much easier than you might imagine, and personalization based on data as well. Partnerships with industry experts and influencers as well, that's going to be big as well. Educational assets, I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. And also getting much, much better at creating curiosity so that when people do visit our website, or they do look at our LinkedIn profile, or they do look at our Instagram page, they get really curious about it and they want to know more. So those are things that we're going to focus on, but I'm going to break those down into 10 tactics that you can approach. So broadly speaking, a new marketing strategy for 2021 and moving on can focus on these kind of areas: educating people, making much, much better use of our websites, personalizing our approach to our ideal clients, and building concept of a value ladder. And I'm going to explore all of these as we go forward. The problem is very few advisors have got a formal marketing plan. Financial advisors really struggle to differentiate. Most financial advisors look the same. You walk down any high street, one firm of accountants looks the same as another, one firm of lawyers looks the same as another, one firm of financial advisors looks the same as another. And I know some of you say, oh, Phil, that's not fair. We are different from Jones and Co down the road. And I know you are, but you look the same online. Our websites all say the same thing. They all use the same words. They all use similar themes. Our LinkedIn profiles all look the same. We really struggle to differentiate in this profession. So we'll talk about that. Advisors are actually wasting leads. The biggest topic of conversation that's come up in my online forums, if you're a member of our Facebook group right now, I see the numbers behind the posts and questions about lead generation. Does anybody recommend this? Does anybody recommend Unbiased? Does anybody recommend Vouch For? Does anybody recommend Bark? Does anybody recommend this, that, and the other? We're always asking questions. We seem obsessed with lead generation, yet simultaneously we say, no, we're fine. We've got all the referrals we need, which I find that contradiction an interesting one. Yet financial advisors have plenty of leads right under their noses. And I'm going to show you where they are today as well. Financial advisors, we're getting better at digital, more and more people. We've got 1 or 2 doing podcasts. We've got 1 or 2 doing YouTube channels. Some getting quite fancy with online challenges. So different aspects of digital, but it's still a tiny, tiny fraction of the financial advisor community are really getting stuck into this. And here's the big one for me. Many of those old faithful tactics that we used to use, and that list I showed you earlier, just aren't working, or they're running out of steam. And that's a really big problem. And I want to explore a bit more about that as well. Some of these tactics were going to run out of steam anyway, but COVID-19 has accelerated that big time. So we also struggle from this, the random acts of marketing concept. There are people in our profession, well, there are people in every industry, every profession who will have you believe that this is what we should be doing, yeah? We should be just posting content left, right, and center every day of the year in the hope that some of it will stick. We're told we should have a YouTube channel. We're told we should have our own Facebook group. Yeah, we're told we should have our email newsletter. We're told we should have a LinkedIn company page. We're told we should have a podcast. We also should be on Alexa devices and other tools like that. And that's fine if you know where your dream clients are hanging out, and many of them will be hanging out in some of these places, then fine. But this idea that we can be putting content out all over the place all of the time is just nonsense. It is completely unsustainable over the long term. And I also happen to think that it cheapens our value, it cheapens our expertise, it cheapens the perception of our credibility as financial advisors as well. There's one thing we're getting right in this profession, although we're doing it in a kind of clunky way, is this striving for professionalism at every single level. Everybody in your business needs to be professional in their own way. And I think we should be treating our intellectual capital, our intellectual property with a lot more respect than we are actually doing. Yes, a good quality blog is fine. Yes, having your own Facebook group is fine. Yes, having your own podcast is fine, as long as that's the route to attracting your dream clients. But this idea that we should be doing all of this stuff all the time is nonsense, okay? And no one's going to convince me otherwise. If this webinar today does nothing else, I would like it to be a point where one or two of you think, oh, actually, I don't think I do need to be using Instagram, so I can cross that off the list and I don't need to be worried about. Actually, I don't think I need to be using a YouTube channel. I can cross that off. I don't think I need that to do that anymore. Actually, I don't think I need to have a LinkedIn company page. I can cross that off. And I can stop stressing about whether or not I should be using it, okay? One of the things we really need to get much, much better at is surveying our clients and knowing where do they hang out, what media do they use, what podcasts do they listen to, what newspapers do they like to read. Really getting detail on where our ideal clients are hanging out, and then focusing all our efforts on that as well. So most financial advisor marketing, and apologies to those of you that have already nailed this, but in my 42 years working with financial advisors, this is what I see. Random acts of marketing, unpredictable results, unscalable marketing strategies, really random approaches. It's pretty well ineffective, and it just ends up being stressful, where what we really want in an ideal world is to get to a point where whatever it is that we are doing gets predictable results, is scalable. In other words, so we can turn it up and turn it down when we want to, that it is strategic, there's a plan behind it, that it actually works, and that we can feel confident about our marketing. Financial advisors who really, really know their dream clients inside out, back to front, what they're thinking about, what they do every day, what newspapers they read, what platforms they're on, what podcasts they listen to, they're not stressed about their marketing. They know what to do. We'll explore more of that. So I cannot stress this enough. And I know as financial advisors, there's a temptation to think, yeah, we have expertise in this area, so our target market is broadish, okay? But how well do you know that market? When I work with individual financial advisors one-to-one, one of the questions I always ask is, please describe your ideal client, your dream client. If they sent you an email today out of the blue, what would they be like? What's their name? What do they do? Where do they live? Where do they go on holiday? What do they read? What do they listen to? How many kids have they got? Where are their kids at school? How much do they pay for their education? This kind of detail. And financial advisors really, really struggle. The funny thing is, the more focused you can get on attracting the actual clients you want, the easier this stuff gets. So how do you currently attract leads? So research in our Facebook group over the last couple of years tends to show top of the list: referrals, professional connections, lead services and directories, face-to-face networking, and seminars. Well, here's an interesting thing. Let's work backwards. Seminars, we can't do them anymore, right? Face-to-face networking, we can't do that anymore. Lead services and directories, the feedback I'm getting from financial advisors is they're not cutting it anymore. I'm constantly seeing complaints about lead services and directories. So they're not working anymore. They're working for a few people, but for the vast majority not. Professional connections, we can't meet up with them. We can't continue those relationships. We don't really focus on professional connections anything like as much as we could. I met the top financial planner in Australia and New Zealand a few years ago, and I said to him, just out of interest, what's made you the top financial planners in New Zealand and Australia? And he said, because we treat professional connection relationships like they are family. He said, and then he went on to say, well, I won't do the accent. He went on to say, financial advisors in the UK pay lip service to building relationships with professional connections. Now, that's a little strong, but I know what he means. Referrals, I've got an issue with referrals as well. Sure, referrals are fine, and it's only natural that you get referrals. You do a great job with your client. It is kind of inevitable that they're going to recommend you, but I think there's a problem with referrals as well, and I'm going to go on to that as well. Yet these are the things that financial advisors tell me are their top ways of attracting leads. Things are changing. And advisors have common expectations around leads as well, which I really need to address. Financial advisors tell me, well, we've got a website, I'll sit back and I'll wait for it to happen. Guess what? For the vast majority of financial advisors, their website isn't cutting it. Your website looks great. My goodness, websites have come on in leaps and bounds. You know, some of the designers that we have out there at the moment that can create amazing looking websites these days, they look great, but they're not converting, and I'll come on to that. We have this expectation that referrals should come in automatically. We have this expectation that local introducers should be introducing business. We'd also like leads that when we do purchase leads, we want them to be cheap, and we want them kind of quickly. We also want the leads to be good quality and coming quickly. We want them to be good quality and cheap. And we're also concerned that focusing too much on a niche will actually reduce the number of leads we get. Well, again, my research tells me exactly the opposite is the case. Our website isn't producing the goods, yet it should and it can. Referrals should come in automatically. Yes, but they aren't, and I'll explain why that is in a minute as well. Local introducers will help. They'll be great if you've got a formal introducer strategy. If you want cheap, quick leads, fine, you can get that, but they'll be low quality. If you want good quality and quick leads, fine, you can get that, but they'll be expensive. If you want good quality and cheap leads, fine, but you'll have to wait. And if you're worried that specializing in a niche will reduce your number of leads, you can specialize in more than one area, but your online presence has to actually reflect that as well. So the three key themes that I'm going to talk about for 2021, and I'm going to give you 10 activities that you can be doing that will really help you with this, are education, differentiation, and personalization. These are my three big themes for 2021, and I'm going to bore the daylights out of you next year talking about these particular things. And I'm going to do that because it's really important. Personalization. Let's start with personalization. This is so important. When you personalize your marketing, you personalize your messaging, it gets noticed. Full stop. It's as simple as that. When you personalize your messaging, you personalize your marketing, you build relationships with your target markets much, much faster. Engagement goes up, response goes up, conversions go up, and retention increases as well. And you actually get more referrals. So why would you not personalize stuff? So let me give you some examples. Now, I collect old school marketing. I just love a bit of old school marketing. And I want to give you some examples from when I was working for Zurich Life. When I was head of national accounts at Zurich Life, I had part of the budget. I was in charge of the budget for the whole company. And that meant that advertising agencies tried to get my attention so that we'd use a particular agency to create our ads, our IFA facing ads. So one particular agency sent me a shaving mirror. At least it looked like a shaving mirror in the post, and it says, Phil Calvert, you change your toothbrush when it's worn out, so why not your agency? How cool is that? Looks like someone had written my name in the mist, in the fog on my shaving mirror. Personalized marketing. This was done before Photoshop. So it had to be done by hand. Somebody had airbrushed this in. Personalized, it got my attention. Another advertising agency got my attention by sending me a picture of a young lady with my name tattooed on her arm. Do you think that got my attention? Just so you can see it closer up. Again, done before Photoshop. This was done by airbrush. This was personalized. It got my attention. A few years ago, I was selling my house. I went around all the local estate agents. They all promised me an amazing service. They all said they'd look after me. They all told me their fees were competitive. They're committed to the utmost service. They all said the same thing. They all looked the same. I know they were different, but they looked the same. So I spent a day, I went around a dozen estate agents, and at the end of the day, I was just confused. No idea which one to go to. So I thought I'll sleep on it before I go back to one of them. I thought, you know, I'm going to toss a coin or I'm going to go with a whole lot of them. The following day in the post, an envelope arrives with my name on it. And inside that envelope is a piece of red carpet. I go, okay, interesting. When I move house, maybe I've got a little square. I can put the red carpet in there. But I turned over the piece of red carpet, and one of the estate agents had stuck a little label on the name, and they put my name on it by hand. Phil, all our clients get the same treatment. Red carpet, yeah. Simple one. I give that to you, ladies and gentlemen, today as a beautiful piece of old school marketing. Now we're out of lockdown. Get down to your local carpet center, buy up a few yards of red carpet, cut it up into 10 by 8 squares, stick your label on the end. Every time you get a new inquiry, send one of those to them through the post. Do you think they'll take notice of that? Do you think it'll get their attention? Do you think it'll make them smile? Of course it will. Good old-fashioned, old school, but personalized marketing. Okay, so I promised you the top 10, but I'm actually going to give you 12. Is it okay if I over-deliver here? Because I did my top 10. I suddenly thought, actually, there's 2 that are really important. So I'm going to put these on first. So number 12 is referrals. And some of you will be thinking, surely referrals should be number 1. Actually, I think referrals should be number 12. I was in 2 minds. When I did the top 10, referrals wasn't in it. But I thought I've got to add in referrals because they are still really, really important. But the way we get referrals needs updating. Now, if we go back to the 70s and the 80s, if we go to pre-internet, this is how we got referrals, okay? So we were at a dinner party and we're sitting around the table, we're having our fondue, and somebody around the table, it might have been you, might say, personal finance comes up in conversation. We get talking about investments, and you might say, do you know, I'm looking for a financial advisor. I need to get my pension ducks in a row. Does anyone here know someone? And someone would say, oh yeah, well, check out my IFA. We didn't call you IFAs back then, by the way. You were called brokers. Check out my broker. They're great. And we go, oh, thank you so much. And what's the name? So we'd write their name down on the napkin and their phone number. Next day, we'd phone them up. That introduction was all we needed. Okay. Today, it's a little bit different. Yeah. We're at that dinner party and topic of personal finance comes up. And you say, do you know, I'm looking for an IFA at the moment. I need someone to get my investments sorted out, or need all my pensions, or want to help my daughter get a mortgage, something like that. And someone say, oh, well, you would check out my IFA. They're great. And we, oh, thanks very much. And we'd write their name down on the napkin and their website address. We might even look them up there and then, rather rudely around the table. But the next day, guess what? We don't phone them up. We want to check them out first. So we go onto Google, we go onto LinkedIn, we go onto Facebook, and we want to check them out. And a really interesting thing happens, because as a human being, we just want to get a sense of who they are. Do we like the look of them before, you know, what are their qualifications? That kind of stuff we want to suss out. And while we're on Google, it is inevitable that we will also see some other financial advisors listed. So I thought, well, we might as well check them out. Well, they seem to be just down the road. Oh, they've got a nicer looking website. Maybe we'll have a look at them. And it's entirely possible that the recommendation we were given actually is not the person we end up talking to. We might end up talking to Smith & Co. instead of Jones & Co, because Smith & Co's got a nicer looking website. Or while we're online, it may well be that we spot a blog, or we might spot a YouTube channel, or we might find Pete Matthew of Meaningful Money's podcast. And it may well be that we think, well, actually, I don't think I actually need to go and see a financial advisor. After all, I can figure this out for myself. I can listen to Pete's podcast, or I can watch this YouTube channel, or I can read this series of blogs, or I could take this course. I don't think I actually need to speak to a financial advisor. So the point I'm making, this idea that we have an automatic right to referrals is creaking a bit. We have technology now that gets in between the referral being made and someone actually being spoken to. You will still be recommended by people because you're doing a great job. But the internet is getting in the way. And the real smart financial advisors, the proactive financial advisors, are looking to try and own or at least occupy some of this space and make sure that they actually get seen. So referrals are really, really important. If you want to know how to do referrals properly, and I recommend this every time, every webinar I do, get a book called Get More Referrals Now by Bill Cates, C-A-T-E-S, Get More Referrals Now by Bill Cates. He is the world's leading expert on how to generate more referrals. His target market is financial advisors. Get his book, full stop. Okay, number 11, what's next on our list? Good old-fashioned PR, another proactive activity. Now, we have the internet. We have social media, we have social networking, we have digital platforms, and that just makes us lazy, quite frankly. When I first went self-employed, I got talking to a BBC newsreader, long friend of mine now, and she said to me, Phil, I said to her, I'm starting my own business. She said to me, what's your PR strategy? And I said, I haven't really thought about it. She said, you need to have a PR strategy. And she said, what you need to do is every time anything vaguely interesting in your business happens, tell the press. Yeah, you go on a course to improve your knowledge, tell the press. You take on a new member of staff, tell the press. You invest in a new computer system, tell the press. You paint the outside of your office, tell the press. You sponsor the local kids football team, tell the press. Everything you do, tell the press. Now, here's the thing. She then went on to say that about 90% of what you tell the press will not end up in the press. It'll end up in the press's on the press's website, might not end up in their paper. But what you could also do is put the press release that you've written on your website. And if nothing else, it gives the impression to visitors to your website that you at least have something to say, you're busy, you're trading, you've got stuff going on. But she said, tell the press about everything you do in your business. She said, what you're really doing here is you're building a relationship with the press, so that when the time comes that the press want expert comment on, I don't know, the budget, the impact of Brexit, whatever, who are they going to turn to? They're going to turn to someone who is an expert and with whom they have a relationship. That's you, the financial advisor. I'm not going to get into now how to write press releases. There's plenty on Google and on YouTube how to do that. Do not forget the power of sending out a press release, and put your press release on your website as well. It makes you look busy, makes you look like you've got something to say, and it builds relationship. Some of the top financial advisors in the UK have built a phenomenal level of visibility online on Google, simply because they built relationships with the industry press, local press as well, but the industry press. You send in a press release, or you spend time talking to journalists at Money Marketing, New Model Advisor, FT Advisor, all that lot. Yeah, build relationships with them. Something goes on their newspaper, on their website, it gets picked up by Google. Okay, Martin Bamford from Informed Choice, he is the master, and he has been doing this for years and years and years. So a real simple one, get in the habit of building relationships with your local press by sending out short, simple press releases, so they get to know you, get to like you, get to trust you, so that when the moment comes, they'll want to talk to you. Okay, number 10. Now this is where I was going to start. Number 10, I mentioned this earlier, the concept of the value ladder. This is something the vast majority of financial advisors do not have, okay? So let's look at some examples of value ladders and see how you could do this. A value ladder is the series of trust building steps that make you your prospect's natural choice of planner. It's great that you've got a beautiful website. Someone visits your website. Is there anything on that that actually helps people to engage with you in a way that they can get to know you so that the relationship naturally builds? This is what a value ladder is. For most financial planners, what we're really looking is for someone to find us one way or another. They arrive on a website and they get in touch and they say, please, can we have some financial planning? And you say, yeah, absolutely, these are our fees. I mean, that's quite a jump. That's quite an ask for people to do if they don't really know you at all. Yeah, all they got is your website. What else have they got? Maybe a referral. What else have they got that gives them a sense of your expertise, your value, your credibility, and your trustworthiness? From your website, nothing. There is nothing on your website other than what you've written about yourself. So let's give you an example of a value ladder, and I'm going to give you an example of an extreme value ladder. Then I'm going to bring it a little closer to home. And let's use Tony Robbins. So Tony Robbins, one of the world's, if not the world's, leading personal development guru. Now, you either love him or you hate him, but let's imagine you've never heard him before, and you're on YouTube and you're looking at some personal development videos, and suddenly Tony Robbins will pop up in the feed. And this is classic Tony Robbins stuff. Stop your negative thinking, 30 minutes for the next 30 years of your life. This kind of stuff. Attitude is everything. And if you watch one of the videos, you'll either love it or you won't. But if you love it, you'll watch another. Then you'll watch another. Then you'll watch another. And then you'll watch another. And before you know it, a couple of hours has gone by. And you think, okay, this is for me. And you commit yourself, I'm going to watch a Tony Robbins video every morning for the next year. In fact, the YouTube algorithm will make sure that you see a Tony Robbins video. And so next time you're on Facebook, oh, behold, you spot Tony Robbins, and it turns out he's doing a Facebook Live. So we think, oh, fantastic. I can actually see the guy doing something live. So we register for Tony's broadcast. One way or another, he'll get your email address off you, and he'll give you some value in return for that. And you watch the Facebook Live broadcast. It's free, but you think, wow, that's fantastic. Tony's my man. Okay. Then you think, well, let's see what's on his website. We pop over to his website and he's promoting his latest book. And for the financial advisors watching this video today, yeah, Tony's stepping into your area now. Tony Robbins, he's not a financial planner. He's not a financial advisor, but he knows a bit about money and he's written a book on it. And guess what? He's giving it away free. All you got to do is pay for the postage, show a little bit of commitment, get your credit card out, pay $5 or $6, get the book for free. Okay. So he's now, you've paid him for the postage. He's got your email address. Happy days for Tony. Then the LinkedIn and or the Facebook algorithm make sure that you'll hear about, or you might get an email from Tony saying that Tony's going to be in town, a one-day event. You're thinking, oh, wow, I can go to the thing. And you think, I'm going to get my credit card out again. It's going to be a 2-digit investment, low risk, what's to lose. You go along, you have an amazing day. It's quite rah-rah. But you go back and think this is great. You take photos, you put it on your social media, you tell all your friends, everything's wonderful. A couple of months down the line, you get another email from Tony, or the Facebook algorithm makes sure that you see that Tony's in town again. This time it's a 5-day event. You think, oh, I've just got to go. I love the other one. I'm going to go along to this. Now we're talking about a 3-figure investment this time. At least it is for the seats at the back. But you're going to go along. You're going to have a great old time. And you do. And slowly but surely, you are ascending Tony's value ladder. A few months down the line, oh my goodness, Tony's in town again. And you're thinking, well, Tony's part of my life now. He's changing my attitude. I'm doing well in my job. My relationship is great. I'm losing weight, whatever. Stuff's great for me. So I think I'm going to go to this. But this time, I'm going to invest a bit more and I'm going to go out the front. Okay. So we're talking, this is a bigger number. Okay. You're going to do some firewalking. You might even get a selfie with Tony. You have a great time. Happy days. Life is wonderful. And a few months down the line, surprise, surprise, this baby pops into your inbox. Now, not everyone is going to make the 5-figure investment to go to this. Okay. many people will have bailed out early on, but let's imagine you're thinking, wow, I've been on this 5-day event. Now I can actually spend personal time with him and with other people like me. So I'm going to go to this. So this is a 5-figure investment. You go along, you're thinking, wow, it doesn't get better than this. You know, your life is on an upward path. Everything's wonderful. And you go along to you think that's it, until this baby pops into your inbox. Now, again, not everyone can go to this. For some people, this is a 6-figure investment. But Tony knows that there are people who want to and can afford to go to this. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is a value ladder. This is how a value ladder works. Okay, if Tony Robbins only ever promoted his platinum partnership, he wouldn't get anything like the buy-in that he does, because some people, the first time they discovered Tony Robbins was a video on YouTube, and now some of those people are now spending 6 figures to go and spend personal time with him at his home in Fiji and with other people just like them. That's a value ladder. So let's bring it a bit closer to home. What about the value ladder for a dentist? What might that look like? Well, my dad used to be a dentist, retired before websites really got going, and he got business based on personal referrals. He had a couple of Hollywood A-listers, and Hollywood A-listers, if they like the dental treatment they're getting, they're going to tell other Hollywood A-listers. So he had quite a nice client bank, to say the least. But these days, we have the internet, and most dentists have got really nice looking websites, but most dentists now understand the concept of the value ladder. What they want you to do is to pay the high-end stuff. Yeah, they want you to pay a high ongoing monthly subscription for ongoing services, but really the big money's in the cosmetic dentistry. So what they do to get you in, to build the relationship, to build the trust so that you can get to know them, is they give away ordinary stuff like teeth cleaning and teeth whitening. They give it away for free. I mean, there was a time when only people like Tony Robbins could afford teeth whitening, but it's available to us. So many dentists will do offers where for a month or a couple of months, free teeth cleaning, free teeth whitening, just to get you in. They treat you really well. They get a video testimonial off you. So it becomes inevitable that you're going to stick with that dental practice and go on up the value ladder. Okay. And here's the cool thing. In most dental practices today, the dentist doesn't actually need to do the teeth cleaning or the teeth whitening. Someone else can do that as well. Yeah. What about the value ladder for a chiropractor? Similar kind of approach. You know, what they really want you to do is spend big money on either a monthly subscription or for their annual wellness retreat. You know, a 3-4 day weekend event away at some really nice hotel with some yoga, some beautiful food, some health and fitness, some mindfulness, some expert speakers coming. That's the big money. Okay, that's what they want you to spend, but it doesn't work like that. So what they do is they get you in, free consultation, maybe a free massage, get to know you. So they get to know you, get to like you, to trust you. Yeah, you've heard those words before. This is how you do a value ladder. What about the value ladder for a gym? Well, the value ladder for a gym even has a day of the year that it starts on, 1st of January, you know, when all those New Year resolutions come in. We're going to get fit this year. So a lot of gyms will give away free stuff, a free month, just to get you in, experience the place, get to know the trainers, but they really want you paying for the expensive stuff. But to make it so much more likely that you will pay for the expensive stuff, they get you in to experience the cheap stuff, get testimonials off you, make you offers so that you ascend their value ladder. So what about the value ladder for a financial advisor? Well, for most financial advisors, this is a really new concept, but I think it's a really important concept if we want to help visitors to our websites get to know you, get to like you, get a sense of who you are and your expertise. Now, these are the sort of things that you could include on your value ladder. Right at the very, very top, as a financial planner, maybe you have a weekend retreat. Now, I know financial advisors in the United States who don't do any more financial planning, but what they do is they make their money putting on weekend retreats. 5 or 6 weekend retreats a year at a high-end, real high-end hotel. Again, expert speakers, really nice food, and they cost a lot of money. I know one financial advisor in the United States, he charges $20,000 a ticket, $20,000 a ticket, and he's got a queue a year long. Okay, that's at the top end of a value ladder. And if you as a financial advisor thought, oh yeah, that's approach for me. If that's what you put on your website, we're a financial planner, come along to our weekend retreat or join our inner circle, only 20 grand, no one's going to take it up, are they? Because they need to get to know you first. So the sort of things that you could do is you could offer e-guides, tips books, write your own book, maybe do your own webinars, podcasts, put on your own seminars, have your own online community. Things that gradually increase in value so that people can get to know you, get a sense of who you are and what you're about. That is how a value ladder works. And I think this is a real positive way forward for how financial advisors market themselves, get to know them, because there will be people who visit your website, they download your free guide and you've got their email address, they've got a free guide, they've had some value, you've got a contact. I would say that is now a client in a kind of new sense. We all know what a client is, but if someone has given you their email address in exchange for an ebook or an e-guide or something like that, or a little tips guide, a quick download, they're a client. They're a client that you could follow up. They may never become a client in the traditional sense of the word, but they could actually refer someone else to you. They might pay to come along to your workshop. They're a new type of client. And I think this is one of the biggest tricks financial advisors are missing. Financial planning, financial advice is not and should not just be something that is only ever done between consenting adults in their office or their home, your office or their home. The expertise that you have got as a financial advisor is phenomenal. And that expertise can be taken and broken down and repackaged into other products and services that you can either give away or indeed sell. Worth thinking about that one. Okay, what's number 9? Video email. Now, everybody's telling you, yeah, you should be doing putting video content out there onto YouTube, which is fine if your target market is watching it. But video email is incredible in its power, yet hardly anybody is using it. And what I would suggest you do is you just use it for those day-to-day communications, just checking in when you send out your quarterly newsletter or your email newsletter. Put a video, embed a video into the email saying, hi, it's John here, it's Mary here. Great to catch up with you. I've attached our latest email newsletter. Hope you find it useful. Get back to us if you've got any questions. I mean, how hard is that? How hard is that? It can be used in a variety of different ways. It certainly differentiates you. It's highly personalized. Yeah, it humanizes your message. The person at the other end of the email can see the whites of your eyes. So important. It's extremely likely that it'll be opened. You can explain complex ideas and concepts much more clearly. And all the evidence shows that the recipients actually take action much, much sooner. Now, there are multiple different tools that you can use to send video email. BombBomb is my favorite one. It's a little bit more expensive than the others, but the service that you get from BombBomb is absolutely off the scale. They are constantly sending you tips and tricks and ideas on how to use video email, which hardly any of the other providers do. So if you're going to use it, you might as well learn how to do it properly. I'm not an affiliate of them or anything like that. I just recommend them because they're absolutely great. I know one financial advisor now does a video out of office email. Yeah. So holiday time, instead of that boring, we're not here at the moment, we'll be back in 2 weeks time, that boring stuff, send a video. The financial advisor I saw doing this most recently, she had put her phone on, she was playing golf, put her phone on the green on a golf course, and she was putting the ball towards the hole, so the camera was just behind the hole, and she putted the ball, she missed the hole. She bent down and spoke to the camera and she said, I'm really sorry, I'm out of the office at the moment, as you can see, trying to improve my golf. If you've got any questions, please visit our website or please call the office. Again, how hard is that to do? So video email will differentiate you, and we might as well use these modern tools. Everybody tells us to use video, hardly any financial advisors are, but video email is a really nice, simple way to do it. And while we're talking about video messaging, As you know, on LinkedIn, you can send messages to people, or you can actually send video messages to people as well, which will make you stand out from the crowd, much more visible, much, much more personal, and it means you can personalize the message as well. Okay, onwards. Number 8. I wonder what number 8 is going to be. I hope you guys are finding this useful. If you've got any questions, please drop me a line personally. This is going to be in the Facebook group. It's also going to be in our LinkedIn group, and it's also going to be in our marketing group as well. You can ask questions there, but if you've got to actually ask me personally, feel free to do that. So number 8, what's it going to be? Education. Remember I talked earlier about the importance of education. What do I mean by education? It's exactly what I was just talking about. You know, as financial advisors, we have a huge wealth of expertise. Think of all those exams you've done. Think of that as knowledge you've got. If you're a new financial advisor, you know, you've done the exams or you're doing the exams, so you have the expertise. If you've been around the block a bit and you've been a financial advisor for a while, you also have expertise, you have knowledge, you have experience as well. You also have case studies as well, which is really important. So we all stand on a mountain of value. Now, let me give you an example of education. Now, a few months ago, my mother sent me this in the post. It used to be my dad's, my late father, and she said that for the entire 50 years they were married, he kept this little red leather book in his office drawer. She said she never saw him get it out of the office drawer, so he was obviously given it before they ever met. It's a tiny little book created by Gordon's, and she said to me, she said, you know, given your love of gin and tonic, I think you would like this. And I was just delighted to receive this. And so I opened it up. And it turns out it's a little marketing piece that Tanqueray Gordon's produced. Now, I got in touch with Diageo's archivist. Diageo own Gordon's now. And I said to them, look, I've been given this little red book. Can you tell me anything about it? And they got back to me and they said, well, it's 100 years old. And it's a marketing piece that Gordon's produced, but it was a marketing piece that was designed to attract new people to Gordon's Gin and also to add value to people who already drink Gordon's Gin. And basically what it is a little book full of cocktail recipes, gin cocktail recipes. And they used to give this away free in off licenses. And it was a lovely little thing. And, you know, it's one of my prized possessions now, but what am I getting at? It's an educational piece. Yeah, it's an educational piece. It's a marketing piece, but it's an educational piece at the same time. And marketing that educates its target market attracts more people and it retains existing customers as well. But let's take this a step further. Writing your own book. Now, it could be an ebook, it could be a tips book, it could be any of those things on the value ladder I showed you earlier, but writing your own book will be the best business card that you can ever have in your life. Just imagine if someone's been recommended a financial advisor at that dinner party that I mentioned earlier, and they find a variety of different financial advisors and they look at their websites. And one of those websites says, I am the author of Brilliant Investing or The Money Tree or How to Retire 10 Years Early. And none of the other websites say that you've authored anything at all. You know, that one's going to get your attention. I know Martin Bamford has written more than 3 books, but, you know, and these have been out a while, these books. And, you know, he told me a little while ago that, you know, when he gets new clients, he still gets people saying to him, oh, I read your book a few years ago. And so it is so simple. Your book will replace your business card. Why write a book? Well, the benefits of writing a book as a financial advisor are just off the scale, absolutely off the scale. Now, unless you get a bestseller, you're not going to make any money out of it. But the money you do make out of it, you'll make more money giving it away, giving it to your clients. And here's the thing, you know, when you meet a client or a prospect for the very first time, give them 2 copies of your book, one for them, and say, give that to one of your friends. You know, this is the best business card you will ever have. So you can give it away, you can sell it. It is the best differentiator as a financial advisor. It positions you as an expert. You add value. I mean, I'm not going to read all these out. You can see them for yourself. They also open unexpected doors, and they create new income streams as well. You know, financial advisors in the United States, if you haven't got a book, I mean, you're no one, to be quite honest. You need to write a book, and we are now starting to see financial advisors in the UK writing their own books. I actually run a book writing course. I've got 12 financial advisors from the UK who are all writing their books at the moment. We've been doing this throughout 2020. Some are just about to publish, some are still scratching their heads, but we're getting there. And it's amazing, but it just amazes me how few financial advisors in the UK have written your own book. And I get it that might sound, oh my goodness, you know, I can take on board some marketing tactics, but writing a book, I mean, that's a step too far. That's a huge step. Actually, it's like anything else. Follow the process. A book comes out the other side. If you want to put on seminars, don't worry about whether or not you're going to get bums on seats. There's a process. Follow the process. People turn up. So I teach a process on how to write a book, but we are starting to see financial advisors doing it. Pete Matthew, he's got his own book. Jason Butler, you'll probably know, he's got 3 books to his name. The Financial Times Guide, I mean, that was a big seller for Jason. Rebecca Robertson, she's written a book. Dennis Hall's written a book. Chris Budd's written a book. George Kinder's always writing books. And this is very doable. You've got to get out of your head the idea of the book needs to be something as big as George Kinder's books, okay? A book could have 20 pages. A book could have 10 pages. It could have 5 pages. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is that you take some of your expertise and you get it down on paper, or you get it onto Kindle and we get it published. Nick Murray, I know a lot of financial planners are just obsessed with Nick Murray's amazing content that he puts. Carl Richards, some of you know Carl as well, and a few others as well. Abraham has written, John Dashfield, Bill Backrack. Bill's not in the UK, but you get what I'm trying to say. Start thinking about writing a book. I guarantee you, it will be one of the best things and most satisfying things you ever do in your life. And it will be one of the best marketing tactics that you'll ever employ. There is a way of writing a book in a week. There's a way of writing a book in an afternoon. But if you were thinking of a project for 2021, that's one for you. If you want help with that, let me know. Okay, on to number 7. I wonder what number 7 is going to be. Okay, something you might not be expecting. Community. Build your own community. Now, I've just said write your own book. I think every financial advisor ought to write their own book. Every professional speaker ought to write their own book. It's the kind of, you know, it kind of implies expertise. It implies knowledge. I mean, there's some pretty bad books out there, but writing a book is a really, really powerful marketing tactic. But I also think having your own community is a really powerful thing to do. Now, I've been running online communities for financial advisors since 2004. Best thing I ever did. If you're a member of the Life Talk Facebook group, that is my community. I say my community, it's actually your community. You can build community around your brand, around your clients, around your location, around your ideas. I have a community for financial advisors who are interested in marketing. That's on a separate platform as well. But what it does do, I mean, thinking of financial advisors, you know, you could create a community for your clients. And even if you've got just 10 clients, that's a community. They've all got something in common. They all will want to learn from you, and you can add massive value. So those of you in my Facebook group, you know, most of the content in that group, in that community, is put there by you, the financial advisors. I occasionally drop something in there, but to me, it is the most powerful step on my value ladder. When I meet financial advisors for the first time, whether it's on LinkedIn or at an industry event, so join my Facebook group. You'll love it. There isn't a single question about how to run a successful financial advice or financial planning business that either hasn't already been asked and answered, or that can't be answered. A community is so powerful. It is so valuable. It will stand you in great stead. Now, it is not an overnight thing. It does take a bit of time to build up the value, but you know, in time, you can actually charge for membership of your community as well. And guess what? People will pay if they like the value that you've been putting in your community. People will pay. It's as simple as that. And Pete Matthew has got his own Meaningful Money community on Facebook. Okay, and he doesn't need to. He set it up, but he doesn't need to put much content in there. Every day, people are asking questions around personal finance, and they're all helping each other out. And every now and again, Pete steps in, answers people's questions, helps out, posts a video, something of that nature. It's a really easy thing to do. It's free to set up. You could create your own community on Facebook. Just set up a private Facebook group. Invite your clients. Invite your professional connections. Invite local business people. Just start it. Don't overthink it. Just start it, okay? It's a community for them where they can network, interact, engage, ask questions, share best practice, help each other out, create community. Incredibly powerful. So you can create one on Facebook. It can be an open group. It can be a closed group that's private. You can do it on LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn's not ideal for communities, but it's there. Platform I use for my marketing group is called Mighty Networks. Really, really good. It's like creating your own social networking platform. There's Tribe, there's Hivebright, and there's about another dozen or so. Think about that as a way to add value to your existing clients, and just see where it goes. Yeah, create community, really powerful. And I am a firm believer that building community, building groups around you and your expertise is going to be a really powerful way forward as we move forward. Okay, on to number 6. And what do we got? Audio. Audio we kind of take for granted, and everybody thinks audio is just about podcasting. Audio is about sound. And I just want to look at a little bit at each of these: radio, podcasting, audio messaging, and audio branding as well. Now, the big deal about radio is a thing called cut through. I don't know what radio you listen to. I don't know whether you listen to Radio 2, Radio 4, Capital Radio, whatever you listen to. But those presenters, those DJs are broadcasting to tens of thousands, if not tens of millions of people every day. And although they're broadcasting to huge numbers of people, it feels like they're talking to you. Radio is a very personal medium. But there's some really interesting stats. When we listen to commercial radio, apparently when the ads come on, 70% of us do not change channels. Yet when we watch commercial TV, when the ads come on, 70% of us do change channels, or we fast forward. So we actually listen to ads. The numbers are pretty good as well. For every £1 spent on radio advertising, we tend to get almost £8 ROI. Fantastic. The targeting is really good by age, by social demographic group, gender, location, time of day of the week. Great targeting as well. Everybody talks about Facebook's targeting and how great it is. It is great, but radio's just as good. You get more audience impressions than any other medium as well. Delivers a larger audience than any other media, particularly during the morning. People listen to the radio while they're doing other stuff. Maybe you're in the shower, in the car, on the train. While we're doing stuff, we listen to radio. We love it, okay? It accompanies other activities. As a financial advisor, you might have the radio on during the day in your office. And when you do advertise, 50% responses come pretty well immediately as well, okay? By ad impression, you get more ad impressions for your money. Compared with radio, OOH is outdoors, advertising, billboards, that kind of stuff. Compared with national newspapers, social media, online display, TV, cinema, direct mail, you get more impressions for your money than anything else. And just a few other numbers. I hate to bore you with numbers. 80%, 87% of the population tune into radio every week. On average, a listener listens to 20 hours of radio, live radio every week. 66% of the population tune into digital radio every week. And only recently, the number of listeners of digital radio has overtaken traditional AM and FM as well. And here we go, more numbers. We tend to listen to digital radio on a radio, a little bit on TV, and on other devices as well. Voice activated speakers as well. I find myself, I listen to the radio quite a lot on my device as well. So a huge opportunity to get out there. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, but radio advertising is expensive. It used to be expensive. It ain't anymore. These days, just go to your local radio station and say, look, I'm thinking of doing this. I've got XYZ budget, and it might be a few £100s, it might be a few £1,000, and they will come up with a package to do that. Obviously, I mean, some radio stations will create the ad for you. There are also independent radio producers that can do it for you as well. But once you've got an advert that would normally be played on the radio, you can have that running on your website as well. You can have it on your social medias, a variety of different places that you can have your advert running. Financial advisors that do this, David Braithwaite, Citrus Financial. I mean, he's been on Radio Kent for quite a long time. And what's interesting, as a result of his radio appearances, he's actually picked up some sort of media celebrities, people like that as well, who've become clients as well, simply because he's been on the radio. Keith Churchhouse as well on BBC Radio Surrey, based in Guildford. He's been using radio for many, many years as well. I mean, I've done, when I was a financial advisor for a couple of years, and I used to do radio appearances. We go to Radio Mercury down in West Sussex, and they would have like a personal finance slot once a week in the afternoon, and me and a colleague, we'd go on there and we'd answer personal finance, and it was great. We'd pick up inquiries. You know, that's free. That's free. And as you build a relationship with local radio stations, you know, in time, they may offer you your own slot as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So radio advertising and radio appearances, really powerful. They work really well. Now, and you can also look at this another way and create your own radio station. So again, Martin Bamford set up Petersfield local community radio as well. Really, really simple. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a kind of podcast that's played online. During the pandemic, Martin also set up Cranley Community Radio, which is an absolutely brilliant idea as well. Got local business people, local people, just to record something. They set up a really simple little website, told people how to do it, and they could just send in an audio recording and then they would play it on Cranley Community Radio. I mean, you guys can do this as well. You know, if podcasts are something of interest, at the end of the day, this is a podcast. But you could do something like this in your local community, or aim it at a particular niche type of client. So some of the things on Martin's Cranley Community Radio, they've done quite a few episodes now. So the back to school special, Cranley Community Radio episode, and each kind of has a little theme as well. Martin has got his own podcast as well, 521 episodes, but he doesn't call it a podcast. I think he's got a separate thing that he does call a podcast, but his own business, Informed Choice Financial Planning, they call it Informed Choice Radio as well. The most recent thing, What Do People Think About the Rich? And he interviews people who've got books out, who are publishing, who are experts on other aspects of the world of personal finance. And again, super simple to do. You know, if you want to start your own podcast, it's really easy to do these days. There's an app called Anchor, which does it all. But if you don't know, if you want to do it a bit more seriously, just go onto YouTube, and there's 1,000,001 videos on how to set up your own podcast. Super easy to do, super cheap to do as well. So here is Martin. He's got a whole web page just dedicated to Informed Choice Radio as well. What you need to know about trusts, talking money, about Arcadia's collapse. So quite often Martin will pick up something that's in the news and talk about that as well, and turn it into a podcast episode. Pete Matthew, again, I mean, I would love to not be talking about Pete Matthew. Pete, if you're watching, we'll love you, but you set the bar. And it's really important that people learn from you as well. Pete's been doing his YouTube channel for over 10 years now, and he's really got going on his podcast as well. Extremely powerful stuff. And you might be forgiven for thinking that if I'm doing a podcast that's getting tens of thousands of downloads, and it's on personal finance, you would be forgiven for thinking that you're going to be getting rubbish inquiries. You'd be forgiven for thinking that You're going to get people phoning up or sending an email saying, Pete, I've just heard your recent podcast. It's awesome. Would you just be able to tell me whether or not I'm being ripped off on my credit card charges? Pete tells me he doesn't get inquiries like that. Pete has told me that on multiple occasions, he's got almost pretty well his perfect dream clients are contacting him as a result of putting out his podcast. There is no shortage of content when it comes to the world of personal finances. I hope these examples show. If you're thinking about a project for January and 2021, take the educational approach, mix it with audio and create your own radio station and your own podcast and communicate your expertise. Remember what I said earlier? Our expertise is not exclusively used in meetings with clients, okay? You can take the expertise you've got, break it up, package it down, repackage it into other products and services that you can give away or that you can sell as well. And I know Pete also has got online courses as well that he sells to people as well. On the topic of audio, let's go back to LinkedIn again. As well as sending written messages and as well as sending video messages on LinkedIn, you can also send audio messages as well. Again, that will make you stand out from the crowd. It will differentiate you from everyone else. Gary Vaynerchuk, those of you know Gary, he's big on audio branding. What's audio branding? Well, Nokia has an audio brand. Yeah, there are a variety of different brands that we all know that have got a little jingle that plays whenever we see one of their ads, whenever we visit their website, whenever we see their social media. There is no earthly reason why a financial advisor cannot have their own little bit of audio branding, a piece of 2-second long audio or sound that represents your business, something that they might hear on your answer phone message, yeah, something they might hear on your website, something they might hear when they click that little button on your LinkedIn profile. Yeah, there's a little button, there's a little thing right next to your name on your LinkedIn where you can record 10 seconds of audio. And you could just say, you could pronounce it, hey, hi, my name is Philip Calvert, or my name is pronounced like this. Or you could say, hi, thanks for visiting my profile today. Or you could just play your little audio jingle. It's really, really powerful. You can do this through the mobile app on LinkedIn. Just go onto the mobile, click the edit button, click the record button, and Bob's your uncle, you are done. If audio is not something you've considered, it's really interesting this, when we have websites done, when we have our new branding done, when we have our business cards done, we think about what do we look like as a firm of financial advisors? And no one ever stops to think, what do I sound like as a firm of financial advisors? Really important, that one. Don't forget it. I have lots of connections in the world of audio and the world of radio. If you would like any introductions to people who could help you develop an audio brand or develop a radio commercial, just get in touch with me and I can point you in the right direction. Okay, onwards. I hope you're finding this interesting. We are now down to, or up to, number 5. What's number 5? Anybody knows me, I'm going to mention LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the single most underestimated marketing tool for financial advisors. Everybody's on LinkedIn. No one knows why they're on LinkedIn. And the reason why they don't know why they're on LinkedIn is because they've rarely had any training on how to use LinkedIn. Most financial advisors are utterly wasting their time on LinkedIn. They put a profile. They don't know how to communicate with people. There's a right way and there's a wrong way to communicate with people on LinkedIn. Okay, the algorithm is designed to reward people who are networkers on LinkedIn and who are not broadcasters. A broadcaster is someone who goes onto LinkedIn and they post something like, check out our latest blog, click here. That's not networking, that's broadcasting. And there are other ways to use LinkedIn that the algorithm will reward you for. When it rewards you, it makes you higher in search results. It makes your content much more visible. It sends people to your profile time and time again. I'm sure all of you have had people approach you on LinkedIn saying, we can show you how to reach out to 200 people a week and we can flood your inbox with leads. That's not the right way to use LinkedIn. The right way to use LinkedIn is to play to the algorithm, to set up your profile in such a way that the algorithm recognizes it, okay, and points you out to people who need your services. Yep. And if you do it the right way, it will point out to your ideal dream clients. I mean, let me ask you, would you like your dream clients, your ideal clients, visiting your LinkedIn profile? Well, yes. Every IFA I speak to says, yeah, I'd like that. Okay. Well, that's how it works. Now, here's an interesting thing about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like Facebook was 5 to 8 years ago. Remember I said earlier on, back in the day, if you were on Facebook as a financial advisor, it was easy. You could post anything on Facebook. You could connect with a load of people. You'd get clients. The only thing was the vast majority of financial advisors were really scared of doing that 5 to 8 years ago on Facebook, worried about tripping over some sort of compliance time bomb. Many more financial advisors are on Facebook today, though if you look at the vast majority of financial advisors' personal pages on Facebook, you wouldn't know that they were a financial advisor. So we're still a bit nervous, but LinkedIn is like Facebook 5 to 8 years ago. If you use LinkedIn and you use it the right way, okay, you will get clients. That's a promise. And I've had IFA clients tell me the very first time they used the techniques that I teach, they ended up with important new pension and investment clients as well. Okay. It's a networking platform. It is not a social media plan. Follow the process and have a plan. So I'm going to give you the plan. Okay. Here's my free gift to you today. If you want to take a picture of this screenshot or scribble it down, linkedinsuccess.scoreapp.com. There's a little tool there that will ask you questions about how you use LinkedIn, and it will give you a personalized report on how you use LinkedIn with suggestions for improvement. And at the end of that, it will give you a little link where you can download a free copy of my book, this book here, PDF copy of this book, LinkedIn Lead Generation Secrets. It will tell you what you need to do on LinkedIn, how to do it on LinkedIn, and it will give you like a planner, a daily planner that you can follow as well. Okay, there's no point in me. I've done loads of webinars on how to use LinkedIn. Get your LinkedIn health check score. When you go to that link there, download the book, read the book, follow what's in the book, get the clients that you really want. Okay, up to number 4. This is getting exciting now. Hope you're finding this useful. Number 4, really important one. This is one I bang on about and have been banging on about for years and years, but actually the digital world has made this even more important. And that is the importance of not looking like every other financial advisor. Remember I said earlier, we all look the same. Well, here's the thing. None of you watching this today are paid to look and behave like other financial advisors. Okay. You are unique. But your website rarely shows that. Your LinkedIn profile rarely shows that. How you use social media rarely shows that. You cannot afford to be a lookalike. You are not paid to look like other financial advisors. The lady on the left here is paid to look like Audrey Hepburn. She is hired by providers and people like that to go along to conferences, to stand on their display stand so that people can have a selfie. You're not paid to do that, okay? You are unique. You have unique expertise. You have unique skills. You have unique experience. And it's so important that you get that across in your marketing. Now, I've done a lot of research on financial advisors' websites. And time again, I see the same phrases being used, the same wording being used, okay? Commitment to excellence in customer service. You know, to me, you shouldn't have that on your website. That's a given. Okay, it's an absolute given. And the themes I tend to see with financial advisors' websites as well. Lots of lighthouses, you know, lights shining away, compasses, lots of yachts, violins, green shoots being held in hands, lots of balloons. I don't know what it is about balloonings, but I see a lot of balloons on financial advisors' website. Couples sitting on deck chairs, grandparents flying kites with their grandchildren, couples with grandchildren on their shoulders, elderly couples walking hand in hand on seafront. Now, I get it. I understand why that might be an approach you want to take, okay? It's meaningless, okay? It doesn't convert website visitors. We are still living in an age where our websites are acting as brochures, and our websites as financial advisors, more often than not, tell us the bleeding obvious. Okay, things we can figure out for ourselves. Today's website visitor is very different from website visitors in the past. Today's website visitor is a bit more, well, is a lot more clued up, okay, about issues about personal finance. If I'm a heart surgeon in London and I'm looking for information on retirement planning, and I'm looking at a website, I don't want to see that you're committed to excellence. I don't want to see that you're going to hold you by the hand and take you through the retirement planning process. I want to see proof that you're an expert in retirement planning for heart surgeons, people like me, okay? And, you know, I kind of use these as analogies. Financial advisors' websites, and I get it that I'm using a broad brush here, and I apologize if you spent tens of thousands of pounds on your website and you're really proud of your website, but I'm going to give you a reason not to be proud of your website in just a minute, okay? So stop all this nonsense, vague comments about how we're going to help people and how we look after your best interests. That does not convert website visitors. What we really should be focusing on is converting the people who are already visiting our website, okay? So while they're looking at your photos of balloons and green shoots and couples on deck chairs, what we actually want them to do is take some action, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do that. 2019, I did some research into 100 financial advisors' websites, okay? I asked them if they would be willing to share their website stats. 92% of those financial advisors didn't even know where their website stats were, but we got them in the end, okay? Turns out the average number of visits to the financial advisors' websites that we looked at was 197 a month. In most cases, the financial advisors were quite pleased with that, and that's not bad, okay? Not bad at all. 197 visits per month on average. What else did we discover? Well, we looked at some stats, and the stats I looked at were the number of visits, the number of pages that were looked at, which pages were looked at, how long they spent on the site, what search terms they typed into Google, where the visitors were, and what was the page where they finally gave up. Now, for most financial advisors, these are the only numbers that you really need, okay? Google Analytics gives you a ton of awesome information, but it's usually way more than you'll ever need, okay? If you're really big on web marketing, then wallow in the data they give you. But every financial advisor, at least every financial advisor who owns their own business or is a partner in a business, needs to know these numbers, okay? And I was shocked how few financial advisors knew these numbers. There's one other number you really need to know, and it's the bounce rate. And that is the percentage of people who visit your website who bounce straight off. In other words, they don't look at any other pages, okay? The average bounce rate for the 100 websites that we looked at was 54%. That's the average. It's generally felt that if you've got a bounce rate of below 25%, whatever your industry, anything 25% below is pretty good. You're doing well, okay? For financial advisors, the average bounce rate, 54%. I saw some in the high 80s%. So what was the reason why the bounce rate was so high? Well, there was a common theme across all the websites I looked at. And the common theme was that on average, on the home page alone of the financial advisor's website, there were 34 clickable links, 34 calls to action. And I get why there is, okay? These are all points to our pensions page, our mortgage page, our about us page, our contact us page, our people, all that stuff, okay? I get why you put all that stuff on there. And this goes back to when we first started having websites. When we first started having websites, the agreed right way of doing, the best practice way of doing it was to cram as much content onto the homepage as you possibly could to make your website sticky. That's what we used to call it, as website designers call it. Keep the website sticky so that when someone visited it, they would stay there. That doesn't work anymore, okay? And this is why it doesn't work. Too many links just causes confusion. It is as simple as that. If I'm a heart surgeon and I want help with my retirement planning, on the website, I want it to say, are you a heart surgeon concerned about your income in retirement? If yes, click here. That's all I want to see, because it engages with me, it speaks to me. The problem is too many financial advisors' websites are trying to be too much to too many people. And faced with all the different links, all the different routes, a confused mind will always say no. So I'm fine with your balloons and your green shoots, but get rid of all the links, because it is stopping people from wanting to take a stage further. Okay. So all this good work that maybe you're doing on Facebook, on social media, on seminars, and all the rest of your educational content, when they arrive on your website, there's a multitude of calls to action, and that just makes people confused and they don't want to go any further. What we've really got to try and do is to get people to engage with our website. And your website needs to speak directly to your target market, and it needs to add tremendous value to your target market as well. So having a website that has got multiple clicks, it is no better than going down the local shopping mall and handing out leaflets in the hope that someone will take notice and get in touch with you. Okay. So first thing, know your numbers. Google Analytics, absolutely great. A tool I use is called Clicky. It just gives you the basic numbers. Okay, super simple. It's free. Go to that link there. I think I earn 10 pence if you pay for the premium one, but you don't even need the premium one. The premium, just the basic cheap one gives you all the numbers, but you need to know your numbers. You need to know if your marketing is actually causing people to visit your website. Another tool I use, Hotjar. Hotjar is a bit more sophisticated. It gives you heat maps. It shows you where people are scrolling, which bits of your website people are scrolling over, which bits people are tapping. It also gives you a little video as well. It shows you a video of people moving around your website as well, so you can see which bits they're looking at. And if they're looking at certain bits, get rid of the rest of it. Okay, if they're not tapping on, or they're not looking at certain bits of your site, get rid of it. Okay, simple as that. Your website, in my book, really needs to be doing this. It should either add value to existing clients or convert new visitors. And this is the homepage. Should either add value to existing clients or convert new visitors. It's not a brochure. What's the point in having a website if it isn't converting your visitors? The only point could be that it's adding value to existing clients. So some of you watching this will have a portal where clients can log in as well. Okay. It's not a brochure. Why would someone want to read your brochure on a screen any more than read it on glossy paper? I don't know. So for a higher converting website, remember that your homepage is not the only way in. Okay. Optimize other pages, keywords, good quality content, but not loads and loads of links. So if I'm a heart surgeon, okay, and I'm looking for retirement planning, and one of the services you offer is retirement planning for heart surgeons, then have a separate page on your website that just goes to town on financial planning, retirement planning for heart surgeons, and that will get picked up in Google if you do it right. Think about having a chatbot. Not ideal, but chatbots actually help people to engage a little bit more. They are a bit clunky, so a far better way is to use live chat as well, where a real human being can answer questions. I've got live chat on my website. A real human being will answer your questions. The tool I use is one called Milu. Again, there's loads and loads of different ones, but I love Milu largely because they're just great service. Remove content from your homepage, okay? Create niche content pages as well. Aim your homepage at your ideal client's problems. Okay, so again, using the heart surgeon example, if I'm a heart surgeon, I'm nearing retirement, maybe I haven't got my pension ducks in a row, that's one of my problems, okay? If you're a financial planner, you specialize in heart surgeons, when I visit your website, I want it to speak to me. So it just makes it, I don't want to go look at someone else's website. You clearly are the expert, you clearly have the credibility, you clearly are the financial planner that I need to talk to. Have a lead magnet on there. Remember I talked earlier, have an ebook, an e-guide, really simple to do. An e-guide can be 1 page long. So that if I'm a heart surgeon, and I'm visiting your website and it says, are you a heart surgeon in West London concerned about your income and retirement? Download our free guide for heart surgeons on how to maximize your retirement in your income and retirement. Just give us your email address. There's no way that I'm not going to give you my email address for that. It's one of the simplest and easiest and most effective ways to get more leads from your website by offering a simple lead magnet on it. So simple, it's not true. And another really powerful technique is to put client video testimonials on your website. Ask your clients and say, look, we're doing some videos of our clients as testimonials to go on our website, maybe on your YouTube channel, maybe something else. Okay. Maybe you could, the QR codes that you could put on your business card. When someone scans your QR code, maybe some client video testimonials can come up there. Okay, client video testimonials are ridiculously powerful. And here's just one financial advisor I know. This is a screenshot from their website. Real clients, real people. And what's really interesting about when you watch these videos is they all say real human things. They all say, when I first met John, the financial advisor, I just warmed to him instantly. He's almost become part of our family. I cannot recommend him highly enough. It's human stuff. They don't talk about your expertise as a financial planner. They talk about the human stuff. So again, another project for 2021. Ask a few of their clients if you'd be willing to film them as a video testimonial. Okay, this is getting exciting. We're up to number 3. Thank you for sticking with me. I wonder what numbers 3, 2, and number 1 are going to be. Number 3 is your face. It works on the good old-fashioned principle of people by people. Always have done, and they always will. Make sure your face is much, much more visible than it is now, okay? Video email I mentioned earlier, video out of office email, videos of you on YouTube. Put your photo in your email signature, put your photo on your business card, more photos of you on your website, on your social media, on your LinkedIn company page as well. Use your face, okay? All the evidence shows that we engage much, much more with marketing that includes pictures of real people, ideally pictures of you. Financial planning is a very personal thing. Human beings deal with people. One of the biggest reasons why I've often promoted seminars is the people factor. When someone comes along to a seminar, they can see the whites of your eyes. Now, we can't put on seminars at the moment, or at least not for a few months yet. So use your face, get it into far more of your marketing activities and your marketing tactics. Super simple. I guarantee you it will make a difference, okay? Number 2, I wonder what number 2 will be. Well, it would have been seminars, but we can't do seminars anymore. Let me tell you this straight, okay? In the 42 years that I've been working with financial advisors, the single most effective form of marketing and lead generation by far has been seminars. By far. Most of the most successful financial advisors around the world use seminars or client events as part of their marketing and communications. It's as simple as that. I've even written a book on seminars, which nobody's buying at the moment because we can't do seminars, but never mind. But seminars work. Why do they work? Because people can see the whites of your eyes. You get them onto your value ladder. They get a sense of who you are, your expertise, your credibility, your trustworthiness. And because you're sitting in a room with other people who are also nodding their head, it makes you feel warm. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so seminars just work. And I know some of you thinking, oh, but what if people don't turn up? What if I fork out on a hotel? That's going to be expensive. Trust me, just follow the process. There's a process to getting bums on seats. Follow the process, follow the presentation process as well. You'll get clients. I know a financial advisor who gets, he used to get, because he doesn't do them anymore because he's retired now, pretty well 100% conversion rate. That means that you get 50 people in a room, all 50 of them, or almost all 50 of them, would want to talk to him afterwards about having a meeting. Or if they didn't speak to him afterwards, they'd get in touch over the next couple of weeks and said, I'd love to have a meeting with you, or they would refer someone else. Seminars just work. And I really don't understand why more financial advisors don't do them. I understand why they don't do them now, okay, but that will come around. So what's the alternative? Webinars. Webinars are just such a no-brainer activity. And I know some of you thinking, oh, I know what a webinar is. I've been on one of those, you know, there's an hour of chat, then there's an hour of sales pitch. That's not what I've been by webinar. A webinar can take a variety of different shapes and forms and sizes, and I'll show you a couple. Now, when you look at a variety of different types of marketing activities for financial advisors, ideally, we want to measure them against these things: low cost, simple, predictable, scalable, and effective, okay? In an ideal world, low cost, predictable results, and effective are what the boxes we want to tick. Now, you don't need to look at these now in detail, and I've actually put a yes, no against each of those things. But if we actually narrow it down, we see that seminars, books, and webinars are the only ones that tick the low cost, predictable, and effective boxes. Webinars are the only ones that tick all of the boxes. So I just throw that one out to you. What are they? What's one of those three things got in common? They are educational, just my little Gordon's gin book, okay? Webinars, I mean, this list is ridiculous. And you read this list and think, well, why am I not doing webinars, okay? So they're cheap. Well, they're pretty well free to do. Yeah, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to book a hotel. You don't have to buy lunch for everyone. You can do it as a marketing activity, and you can also do it as an ongoing added value activity. You could do all your marketing in 1 hour a month or 1 hour a quarter. You're speaking one to many. It is highly scalable. The right attendees turn up by default. They're getting expert value from you. You can also get other people on your webinar as well. So you're building relationships with other experts. It establishes you an authority. It builds trust. It's engaging. It enhances your brand value. You get leads, okay? It builds long-term relationships. There's a natural next step for your attendees. And those leads that you get, you can pick and choose the people you want to work with. At the very least, if nothing else, you've got a name for your email newsletter. Okay, what could you do? Well, just a couple more numbers here. The simple fact of the matter is all the world's marketers know that webinars work, okay? And they are not a sales pitch. They are not a financial promotion. You're not giving financial advice. Okay, it's just simple educational stuff, a bit like Pete Matthews' videos, a bit like Martin's podcasts, okay? It's just simple communication stuff that works. Ideas that you could do: you could maybe ditch your email newsletter and just do a weekly or a monthly webinar instead. It only needs to be 20 minutes long, half an hour. Doesn't need to be a great long full day thing. One financial advisor I know who does a weekly webinar, he does a review of the weekend newspapers. Interesting one, that. So the Weekend Press, Saturday Telegraph, Sunday Times, Mail on Sunday, they've all got personal finance sections, yeah, which are full of educational material. It's all written by journalists. I mean, why financial advisors allow journalists to educate their clients, I don't know. Financial advisors should be educating their clients. So what this financial planner does, he takes 3 or 4 articles from the Weekend Press, and he says, in the Saturday Telegraph, there was a really interesting article about, I don't know, equity release. They made some interesting points. I didn't agree with this particular point. This is our view. In the Mail on Sunday, there was an interesting article about inheritance tax. It was a really good article. I strongly recommend people read it, but they missed a point. And my point I would have added was X, Y, Z. How hard is that to do? Okay, simple. You can also do some in-depth stuff, some real quality stuff. Some people will even pay for this as well. You could also create a webinar based around a local networking event as well. I'm seeing quite a few of these during lockdown as well. Local business people putting on a Zoom event, okay, because you can do webinars through Zoom, where they interview local business people. We're only limited by our own imaginations as to how we use webinars. So most of you now are familiar with using Zoom. Zoom is free. But Zoom's also got a premium version, and they've also got a webinar module. It's like 30 quid, I think, for a month. You can put on unlimited webinars over a month or whatever, and so people can interact and engage. So just do webinars, because they tick many of the boxes I've been talking about today. They are educational, okay? They are pretty personalized as well, and people get to see the whites of your eyes. How hard is that? So we've arrived at the end. What do we think number one is going to be? What do you think the number one marketing strategy that I think financial advisors should be doing in 2021 and beyond? It's a marketing strategy that I've been using for a year now. Other than seminars, it's the best thing I've ever done. So what is it? It's called scorecards. This is relatively new, but the concept of asking people questions and then giving them some value in exchange for their answers has been around for a while. But now the tools that are available to do this are much more sophisticated, and they're really powerful. Let me just dig a bit. In many ways, this one simple approach could replace all your lead generation activities. If you get leads from an online lead generation service, you don't need that anymore. I've already shown you, I've already proven to you that you've already got leads under your nose, people visiting your website, half of which unfortunately are bouncing straight off. What if there was a way that you could grab those visitors okay, and offer them some real personalized value there and then and on the spot? Imagine if you could do that. I showed you this earlier. This is a scorecard, okay? It is a tool that I am using to get me LinkedIn consultancy work. You take the LinkedIn health check, okay? You get some value because it tells you how well or not you are using LinkedIn, gives you suggestions for improvement, okay? And I get information about you. It is fully GDPR compliant, and I can pick and choose the people that I want to follow up. That is a scorecard, okay? So what it essentially does, it's a bit, I mean, if I was to say to you, would you like the names and details of everyone who visits your website? You'd probably go, well, think about, yeah, I guess that would be quite useful. Well, you can't do that. Would you like to be able to give a personalized experience to every website visitor? You'd probably say, yeah, I guess so. And would you like a marketing tool that provides massive value to visitors to your website? You'd probably say yes as well. Well, that's what this does, okay? People arrive on their website, they answer a few questions, they get a personalized report, you get some data. You get people who have interacted and engaged with you, their own free will. How it works, it's a simple, attractive web page. You create a series of yes, no, or multiple choice questions on that web page. Depending on their answers to those questions, they get a score, they get an assessment, and they get a report. And it gives them an opportunity to talk to you. Some of them will want to follow it up, okay? It's GDPR compliant, but you have got their data and their information, and it is fully GDPR compliant. So through answering a series of simple yes, no, multiple questions, your website visitors are instantly given a personalized report of valuable insight based on their answers. Okay. What it does for financial advisor, it improves the effectiveness of your marketing by putting value at its heart. It turns your website into something of real value. It turns your website from being just a brochure into a tool that really works hard for you, okay? It creates curiosity on your website. It encourages visitors to genuinely engage with your website. It gives you, the financial advisor, highly qualified, data-rich leads. That's what we all ask. One of the biggest complaints I see financial advisors when they purchase leads from a variety of different sources, they say the leads aren't very good quality these days. With a tool like a scorecard, you can pick and choose the people you want to work with. And you can, so that means you can then personalize your follow-up because you've got an understanding of the prospect before you even meet them, okay? To me, this is an absolute game changer. It sits on your value ladder, right at the bottom, it gives them value. Do you remember what I said? It makes your website actually perform. It makes it actually convert visitors. It gives you leads that are high quality and highly qualified. You can then identify the good or the bad leads, and it's at the very least, If someone fills out your scorecard, you can say, actually, that doesn't look like my type of client, but you've at least got their contact details, which you could follow up with your email newsletter, your webinar, and maybe in time they will refer you, or maybe in time they will be a good client for you. So your approach is personalized to each person, and it positions you as an expert because you're giving them a valuable report, and the system gives them a report. You don't have to write it. And the quality of the conversations you're going to be able to have now that you've got instant access to rich data will be literally game-changing. This is going to change. I promise you this now, and I predict this now. This is going to change how financial advisors attract leads. So clearly, this is a thing of value that you've got. So you need to show it off. You need to be able to highlight it to people. So it'll be on your website, or it could be a separate website in its own right. Okay. Put a link to it in your email signature, mention it in your out of office email, put it on your answer phone message, put it in your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn messages, your wider social media, blogs, email, get it everywhere. Okay. Absolutely everywhere. It's also something that your existing clients can do as well, as a bit of fun. So you can use it as part of your onboarding process. It gives you data for newsletters, webinars, articles, data for targeted advertising as well. You'll notice a certain type of person is visiting your website, filling out your scorecard. That gives you great data, which you could use in advertising campaigns. It gives you great data for your follow-on communications. You can also segment that data as well. And it just builds your email list as well. Your scorecard needs to have a kind of theme. So my theme is the LinkedIn health check. Okay. And so financial advisors, just use your imagination how you do that. And you could call it a variety of different things. You could have a scorecard that measures someone's readiness for retirement. It measures their work-life balance, or measures their confidence around money, measures their financial fitness. It measures their attitude to wealth, how sophisticated an investor they are. Okay, so that will be the theme depending on what your area of expertise as a financial advisor. You create the theme, then you create categories of questions, and you want sort of 20 to 40 questions, not many more than that. Okay, and so here are some that are already out there. The entrepreneur identifier, find out which leading entrepreneur you are most similar to. Or the tax refund calculator, are you one of the many UK companies who pays more tax than they need to? Take our scorecard and find out. The business clarity scorecard, did you know that your next 6 moves to ensure your business grows over the coming 12 months? If not, our scorecard will tell you. The brand assessment. So any business in any industry can do this. You create a series of questions based around a theme, stick it on your website. Okay, and people visit the website. It gives them something to do. I mean, to put it bluntly, everyone loves a quiz. They take your quiz. It's a bit more sophisticated than that. They take your quiz. They get a score. They get personalized advice or pointers based on the answers. Okay, you get data. You can follow them up. Okay, that's how it works. So this is what my LinkedIn health check looks like when you visit it later. Discover your LinkedIn strengths and weaknesses, take the test, and it's the categories are strategy, profile, content, and so on. Answer the questions, get your report, take action. Okay, these are my categories that I've got on here as well. And these are the sort of questions that I ask. Do you have a LinkedIn strategy? Have you personalized your LinkedIn URL? So if someone says, do you have a LinkedIn strategy? If they say yes, they get a point. If they say no, they don't get a point. Okay, and the points, the software behind this, depending on the number of points you've got, determines the report and the score that they actually get. And this is what the questions look like. Really simple, nice and clear, nothing too hard for people to think about. And then they get their report at the end, and they can download it. There's even a PDF that will go out to it as well. On my site, and you can dive in and you can see your score depending on the different categories that you've got as well. And I give them a free gift as well. I mentioned that earlier. They get a copy of my book. You don't have to do that. But you know, the report itself is enough value for most people. As the scorecard owner, I get their name, their email address, their phone number if I've asked for it. If I've asked for it, where they heard of it, but I get the detailed answers to their questions. And I'm not going to dwell on this, it's probably quite difficult to see on your screen. I can see the answer to their question. I can see how long they took over each question as well, and then I can follow them up. I see that you're knowledgeable at this particular aspect, but you're not so clear on this particular aspect. Is that something you'd like to learn more about? Okay. And some will say, no, thank you, that's absolutely fine. But some will say, well, yeah, how do we work further together, Phil? And this is the opportunity for financial advisors. You can create scorecards, okay, based on whatever area of expertise, your particular theme. People feel it just turns your website into something that's not just a brochure, but into something that's of real value. You get the answers to the question, and then you can follow them up. A far more professional approach. Okay, there are other ways that you could use your scorecard. The data that comes in, you could use that for internal training. You could also create a scorecard for when you recruit people. You could collaborate with other businesses as well on a scorecard. It becomes part of your brand assets, your brand value. And you could also make it an annual thing that you ask each of your existing clients. You could kind of say, you take your scorecard again every year, and you can track their answers, track their process over a period of time. You don't have to call it a scorecard. You can call it a health check, a quiz, an analysis, a calculator, an assessment, whatever works best for you. Does it work? Well, I've been doing non-stop webinars all year. And I mentioned my LinkedIn scorecard during each of the webinars. I did one the other day. There were 150 people on the webinar, and I mentioned, go take my LinkedIn scorecard. 10 minutes after the end of the webinar, I had 97 people had taken my LinkedIn health check. That's 97 leads, potentially 97 people that I could follow up. But I don't follow up all 97. I pick and choose the ones that I want to follow up. This is a far more robust way of getting leads these days. Okay. So to sum up, it is a branded landing page. You create question categories. You ask questions. There's a scoring logic behind it. People are opting in to receive their results. The report they get is dynamic. It's so clever. They can have a PDF as well. You can integrate it, if you like, with your CRM system. You can personalize the follow-up, and you get your own personal dashboard behind the scenes. I personally think that a scorecard will work for every single financial advice business. I cannot think why it wouldn't be useful in some way, shape, or form, because you can pick and choose the leads you want to work with. You give highly personalized results. You're giving real value, all the things that I've been talking about today. But there's a way to find out whether or not a scorecard will be right for you. If you want to go to this link here, you'll see a little video, just kind of summing up what I've just said. And you can take a scorecard, which will tell you whether or not a scorecard is right for your particular business. It is more right for some financial advisors than it is for others. But you take the scorecard, and the scorecard will tell you, so you can experience it yourself, the degree to which it thinks a scorecard will work for you. Okay. And if you want to talk to me about it, I'm putting scorecards together for financial advisors right now, literally as we speak. Have a look, see if it works for you. So here's to sum up then. Referrals, PR, have that value ladder, video email, books and education, build community around your brand, use audio in a variety of different settings, whether that's radio or podcasting. For goodness sake, use LinkedIn. Turn your website from being a really nice looking brochure into something that actually converts clients. Okay. Use your face more, use webinars, and think strongly about scorecards as well. So thank you so much for watching today. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed presenting it as well. Really great fun. If you've got any questions, just get in touch with me. Find me on Facebook, find me on LinkedIn, find me in our marketing group, or just drop me an email, philip@financialadvice.marketing, philip@financialadvice.marketing. I'm more than happy to answer your question personally. So thanks again. It's been great to be with you today, and see you again soon.